I wanted to ask you specifically about Bernie. I mean, I know you've had starker words than I have. I do criticize him. I just don't call him a coward in these things. However, Bernie strikes me right now as kind of doing what Obama did. Like, Obama ran on all these platitudes, but he had this massive organizing army, and he left them on the White House lawn. I mean, he didn't use it, and then just threw up his hands and said, well, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan can't do anything. I mean, Bernie didn't win the presidency, but I mean, his Slack channel has more people than DSA has signed up. I mean, just the sheer apparatus that Bernie's campaign over 4 years created, you could be doing serious things. And if you want to take him at face value, maybe you disagreed, but all right, he said, we're going to get Biden in, and then we're going to fight him on day one. Well, it's day one, and I don't really hear anything from Bernie right now. I'm pretty sure he's smart enough to know he's not going to get a White House parking pass, much less labor secretary. Why do you think he's not using that army? Because right now you just have these different islands, Sunrise Movement, Justice Democrats, but it's not an organized progressive movement to tap into this leverage you're speaking of.
Why do I think?
Because I don't think I understand your anger. I don't think he's a coward. I think he's really bad at politics. I think he's really bad at power politics.
Okay, we could, whatever descriptors we want to use. Kyle Kalinske calls him a cuck. I call him a coward. You call him bad at politics. When the rubber meets the road, Bernie Sanders capitulated to the machine. Bernie Sanders threw his movement under the bus. Bernie Sanders didn't extract anything after 4 years, did nothing. They cheated him. He did nothing to make sure they didn't cheat him again. It's just, and instead of doing something like I wanted them to do, was to actually build an organization outside the Democratic Party. By the way, that's not my idea. That's Bernie Sanders' idea. Bernie Sanders said before he became popular, he used to say there has to be a rainbow coalition and it has to happen outside the Democratic Party. That's what he used to say. And then as soon as he got popular, he stopped saying that because the Democratic Party put the fucking screws to him and he bends the knee. And what is the point of fucking voting for a guy who does that? I don't really know. He voted for the largest upward transfer of wealth in the history of the human race, and he got for it. And there's no answering for that, and he'll never make up for it. And he then threw his movement under the bus for Joe Biden. So he'll never make up for that. And by the way, the point is, you know how they all voted for it, the Iraq War, so then nobody's to blame. The same thing, everybody voted for the CARES Act, so nobody's to blame. And they know that. Ro Khanna came on my show and gave me that bullshit excuse about, oh, well, we had to get that $1,200. You mean the crumbs? The shit that AOC called crumbs? You guys got rolled and you went along with it. You didn't even vote against it. They could have, and it would have still passed, but they voted for it. That's how up the two-party politics are.
Well, I also think with Bernie, to me, listen, he was 10 days away from possibly clinching the Democratic nomination. He's on 60 Minutes. That's your first and probably best opportunity to kind of cater to those older voters that have been programmed and brainwashed that you're a radical boogeyman. And it seems to me he just kind of got roped into this Cuba stuff and other stuff, but he never actually tweaked his message. You might not agree with me, but I don't think progressives can win electorally unless they slice off, 5-10% of that older voter. And I think those older voters, by the data, actually are closet progressives. They've just been programmed. Biden, Super Tuesday, the exit polls showed the majority of his voters decided in those final days. They weren't sold on Joe Biden, but why did they decide for Biden? He had $100 million of never-ending cheerleading on MSNBC, CNN. That you remember that Pete, Beto, Amy pep rally? So it seems to me Bernie never even tried to win those voters because he was very, very focused on the young voters and expanding the electorate and all these things. Do you think progressives need to try to cater to some of these voters, or you just want scorched earth?
I don't. I gave my opinion on why I think Bernie lost the primary. There's many reasons. I think for me, the biggest reason is he didn't articulate what the problem was, and the problem was, hey, how do we get Donald Trump? And he never told us. He got Donald Trump because the Democratic Party, which is what he told us the first time, he was saying this is how screwed up it is. And the second time, he just started running around saying Donald Trump is is, you know what I know from Bernie Sanders' campaign? I know two things about Bernie Sanders. I know that he thinks Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in the history of the country, which is patently not true. I also know that he thinks Joe Biden is his good friend. That's all I fucking know. That's it. So that's a campaign. He sounded like every other Democrat. He wouldn't go after Joe Biden. He wouldn't say what the problem was. He wouldn't turn to Joe Biden and say, the reason why you don't understand the math behind Medicare for all, Joe, is because you're bought and because you're paid to not understand it. He wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't even run a campaign against them. He ran beyond cowardly. Kyle uses the term cuck. It was, Chris Hedges predicted it. So I feel like the idiot, right? I'm the dummy. But I told them all along, don't do this. Don't run inside that party. Do something else. That's how you actually will have power over them. But believe me, how you can run for president and not criticize Joe Biden and say the guy was in office the last time. That's why we got Donald Trump. You want to know why we got Donald Trump? He's standing right next to me. That's why. You want to know why we got Donald Trump? Because this guy's going to deny you health care, because this guy's been bought and paid for, because this guy's also a pathological liar, and everyone knows it. By the way, he's demented.
Yeah. I was slamming him after these debates because, I mean, the guy has literally made up his entire civil rights record, which, I don't know. I tend to feel like people don't like being lied to. I got arrested meeting Mandela in South Africa. I participated in civil rights sit-ins. I didn't pal around with Strom Thurmond. You're right. He didn't want to go for the jugular. The devil's advocate, I want to ask you, because people who say, no, keep fighting to take over the Democratic Party within would say, Jimmy, yeah, I'm not opposed to a third party, but this corporate oligarchy was not built overnight. So you expecting to take over the Democratic Party in just 4 years is giving false hope to your viewers. You're being impatient, people would say. And the wins that we have scored, 10 to 15 progressive victories over the last 4 years, Sunrise Movement, some small victories, are steps in the right direction. Why not continue in that direction rather than a third party?
Well, if it was just 4 years, that would be one thing. This has been 40 years. So this has been 40 years. This started, Bill Clinton the idea that Bill Clinton was the lesser of two evils with George Herbert Walker Bush, again, is arguable. I say it wasn't. He wasn't. He certainly wasn't when it came to Bob Dole.
He got way more Republican shit done than George Bush ever would have.
That's exactly right. People don't realize that George Herbert Walker Bush couldn't pass NAFTA. It took a Democrat to come in and give those blue dog Democrats cover for voting against unions and cutting the legs out from underneath unions. And that's what Bill Clinton was able to achieve, which a Republican wasn't. Just like he was able to do that at the same time he was gutting welfare and exploding the prison population, and then deregulated Wall Street and also deregulated the media, which is why we have a concentrated 6 companies that run all the media now. So if Bill Clinton was able to do that, they would not have let George Herbert Walker Bush do that. They would have been protests against it, but because Bill Clinton, a Democrat who was being attacked by the right wing all the time, then people rallied around him and they helped him pass his deregulation of Wall Street, which crashed our economy within a decade, right? And then we get Barack Obama. And why did we get Barack Obama president? Barack Obama took us from 2 wars to 7. He opened the Arctic to drilling twice. He made the banks bigger while he kicked 5.1 million families out of their house. He built those cages that Trump put those immigrants in. He deported way more Hispanics than Donald Trump did, which I predicted the day Donald Trump was elected that would happen. So the lesser of two evil was not Barack Obama. They would never let John McCain do that so I want a wolf in wolf's clothing. I don't want a wolf in sheep's clothing. And progressives inside the Democratic Party are not only a wolf in sheep's clothing, they're wrapped up like little baby lambs going bah. So I don't need that. That's a big head fake. That if you think that the takeover of the Democratic Party is happening, I bet it'll happen 5 years after climate change kills us all. So the idea that, and they have zero power right now. The progressives have leverage enough to get Medicare for all up for a vote. Are they going to use it, Jordan? Are even other progressives in the media going to pressure them to do that? No.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.